The NA preference for maps are.
I'm actually really hoping for a control point map today. Just for some variety. I love all the maps, and I think they're interesting to watch at least, if not always play on. But it'd be
Hmm.
really fun to see what these teams do with control points, and then also why they might not like control points. We might see just why it's such a stark preference away from them.
No, absolutely. So right now we see Temple Anubis immediately getting taken out. So the straight up capture point maps again being targeted for early removal early in this tournament.
Yeah, I said it yesterday, I'll say it again today. I think one of the problems with the control point maps is just the length of them and how far away the initial choke is from the actual objective point. You have to waste ults to get through that choke, and then you have nothing left to fight with. But Gibraltar is the ban now from Backlash Gaming.
So Backlash not taking out a capture point, not taking out a King of the Hill. So maybe they have plans for either of those. And Code7, again, targeting the capture point maps, but we still have Nepal and Lijiang Tower waiting in the wings.
Yeah, we could possibly see some King of the Hill going on here. I love the King of the Hill game mode. I've loved it in every game. I find it more skirmishy and just kind of action packed, so it'd be nice to see. Numbani is a second ban from Backlash Gaming.
Yep. So interesting here. Backlash is actually taking out the payload maps. I wonder now if they. How's this going to work? Can you actually force no payload maps if one team bans all the payload maps out? I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Well, how many total bans would they get? Does a team end up getting 5? Because you could just ban all 5 payload maps. Yeah, I think you could ban all the payload maps.
This is interesting. Because really, what we've seen in Overwatch comp so far is that people really, really prefer... Oh, and Code7 just took out Hollywood, so if King's Row goes down here, Backlash will have successfully moved it to King of the Hill.
Right, so we're going to kind of see what Backlash is thinking right now, because if they ban out King's Row, then we're just going right to King of the Hill. But if they ban out one of the King of the Hills, then it's obvious that they want King's Row maybe, and maybe that'll play into Code7's final ban.
It's a distinct possibility, so... Yeah, definitely sort of a strategy here going from Backlash. And no, they took out Lijiang Tower, so maybe their real strategy was, we just want King's Row.
Right, so now it's down to Code7. They get to final ban, which is essentially the pick of the map. We're either going to Nepal, new King of the Hill game mode, or King's Row. I'm good with either. It's nice to start the day on a familiar place like King's Row.
Yep, King's Row. Yeah, so I think the method in Backlash's madness there is that they took out all the payload maps except the one they wanted to play and gambled that Code7 would not want to bring them to King of the Hill.
Right, that was a cool strategy. It worked out.
So right now we're seeing if sides are final. If so, it will be Backlash on attack first and Code7 defending. But we'll have that for you in just a moment. So yeah, I mean, that's actually an interesting strat with the current way map bans are set up. Because for a second I thought they were trying to force the King of the Hill, and they definitely had that opportunity. Yeah, they said, nah, we're not actually doing that.
They were bluffing. They were bluffing the whole time. That is one of the fun parts, I think, about ban phases and, if we do ever implement hero bans or things like that. But some of the most fun parts of watching games and esports in general, to me, is like the ban phases. Like, they're going to ban out Jaina in this Heroes of the Storm match, and then they talk about it for 5 minutes. There really is a different meta game and kind of a poker aspect to banning heroes and banning maps.
Yep. Okay, so teams are saying they're good. I think we are ready to go in.
Excellent. King's Row.
So, again, first map's going to be King's Row. All matches today are best out of 3 with the exception of the finals, which is a best out of 5.
Yep, and of course you're watching GosuGamers Weekly number 3 NA, sponsored by Rocket. That is a $120 grand prize going to the winners, and we are expanding tournaments, and we're doing these every week, so as far as the prize pool goes, that may be changing, sponsors changing, everything's changing, so just make sure you're tuning in every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, for our EU and NA finals, or tournaments. Tournaments, they become finals.
Yep, absolutely. So, right now, the thing where both teams are... Well, they're ready and they're not ready. I think someone went to use the bathroom or something. The struggle with esports.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to kind of control athletes when they're all in their own rooms, right?
Yeah, actually, the interesting thing about all this is that I think Overwatch has been actually decently punctual relative to some of the other things I've casted in the past. Look, I mean, certain things in Heroes of the Storm would just take forever to start up. It's not Heroes thing either. It happens in like League, Dota, and other games as well.
For a long time, that was like one of the big problems with esports was no one was ever on time, and it just became kind of a running joke. Like it wouldn't be esports if we ever started on time. But the thing is, like you can't delay for an hour, a half hour. People have things to do. But luckily, with the esports over the last 5 years or so, we've evolved to take it a little more seriously, where people are actually punctual. So.
Yeah, I do think punctuality is improving a little bit as time goes on. The stakes get higher, sponsors get involved. I mean, no longer is just sort of a group of friends that are playing on a community ladder. These things get very serious very fast.
Right, you got a team manager who's like, well, where were you? You can't do that. You have to play. You're getting paid to play.
The
So,
dreaded team manager. All right, so right now we're just waiting for both teams. The first matchup will be on Kings Row. This is Backlash versus Code7. And Hex, do you have any favorites going into this?
as far as teams go, I don't know enough about either team right now to really have a favorite. I've spoken to a couple of the guys, and I worry a little bit about Backlash being a kind of newer team that was thrown together from two other teams. But however, that means some of them are going to have some cohesion together. I guess it's the early bet. I would go with Backlash.
All right. Yeah, I think for me, my pick would also be Backlash, and uh-oh. This is happening. Backlash, they might be replicating the 5 dwarves we saw the other day. I gotta get into their spawn and find out.
Yeah, now they're definitely the favorite. They're running the
Yeah, I mean,
strat.
now, if nothing else, they're bringing a little bit of style to our lives.
So just briefly,
But the server is closed due to an unexpected error. Uh-oh.
Oh, that's fine. Maybe.
All right, stand by, guys. This is beta, after all.
Yeah, beta story. Last night I was playing and I was having like actually a really good game, surprisingly for me, with Reaper on Kings Row, actually. And halfway through the game, the screen just went black, then it came back and there was no text at all, no aiming reticule, no info, like no HUD at all. So I'm playing with just guns on my screen trying to finish shooting people, and even go and play the game, none of the text, nothing, it just all disappeared. It was kind of a surreal experience. I was like role-playing.
I mean, I'll say this much. The stability of the game has definitely improved greatly when compared back to shenanigans back in Beta 1. Certainly the performance of the game has gone through the roof. I mean,
yeah, the optimization's insane in this game.
The optimization is actually just crazy. I mean, I went from maybe 80 to 90 FPS in Beta 1, which is still pretty good, to, if I were to uncap it, to over 200 FPS.
Right. I mean, and just how the game runs on almost every machine, and that combined with the netcode, like whoever's actually designing the guts of the back end of this game deserves a raise, because it is running very well.
Yep, it is doing really, really well, and and truth be told, I mean, we're still in beta. It could improve even further. Oh, also, Hex, you and Joro need to get out of the other lobby.
Oh, we're doing.
We have remade the lobby.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yes.
everyone's still in here.
So, a little bit of a technical issue, guys. We will be getting in the game very, very shortly, however. And everyone just got added to the spectator side. What in the world? Hex, because spectators are full, I think you're going to have to go and play for Backlash now.
Well, it's obviously probably an upgrade over whatever they have in the roster.
Yep. Unfortunately, you have to play Genji.
Wow.
That's the deal. That's the deal. That's the deal.
It's like Sophie's choice. Like, yes, I want to play for a competitive team. No, I don't want to play for Genji. Wow.
But I mean, if you did play Genji, think about it. I mean, maybe you could finally, get a little bit of closure.
I'm gonna try.
Not hate him as much.
I'm gonna try to play a little more Genji and Tracer, mostly just because like those are the heroes I really struggle playing against. So I feel I need to get in the mind of a Genji.
So Team 2 is now leaving and re-inviting. We get to stay on spectators, though, however, because we're actually spectating.
Yeah, at some point.
So, I mean, who would you choose as a favorite for that last game? I mean, I know it was Shormy got kicked out early, but, Backlash with the 5 Torbjorns, they won in my heart.
It was an interesting strat. They also had a Hanzo queued up, too. And I don't know, like, since our very first cast, I've always talked about it. Kings Row specifically has that one spot where you can run a sniper out. And I was taking it seriously with, like, a Widow sniper I thought was a good idea. But then we've seen teams run, like, 5 or 6 Hanzos and just scattershot the point and then switch off. It only costs you 3 seconds and you might get a pick. So they were running a Hanzo. Maybe we'll see a scatter shot onto the point.
All right, so we're going to give this another shot. We are starting up the game. We're going in the Kings Row. And let's just hope for a little bit more of stability.
So I was going to mention about Kings Row. is the meta changed almost completely yesterday, where this used to be dominated by teams kind of holding the high ground and running that typical Pharah Mercy combination. We saw several games without a Pharah or a Mercy on either side. So it is definitely changing on King's Row.
Yeah, King's Row is sort of... Things change and then things stay the same. As you mentioned, we do see change with that, but one character that is very much the same from Beta 1 is we saw Reaper, I think, in every King's Row game.
It's a great map for him. There's so many close quarters fighting, so many different hallways he can take down, so many flanks. There's really not a section of the map where he's weak in. So that's why he ends up being picked. There's a lot of heroes that are good on, stage 1 and stage 3 of maps and struggle in stage 2, which is why you see so much hero switching. But Reaper, all in all, good on offense and on defense of King's Row.
So there's a little bit of a sad time here, Hex. Backlash has dropped the Torbjorns.
Well, maybe that's what caused the server to crash. Maybe they summoned the server crashing by too many Torbjorns.
Yeah, I mean, people were going on chat yesterday about it being like some sort of devious Torbjorn ritual that was summoning the evil dark spirits.
Yeah, yep, that's right.
I mean, maybe that's a thing. In any case, what we do have here, we do have the Code7 defensive lineup coming out. We have JoJo on Reinhardt, Bread Experts on Zenyatta, Zelnick on Lucio, Waffletastic, repping a Bastion. So we got defensive Bastion here, X. I'm excited for that.
It's a cool spot, too.
We have Torque Joe, I'm just going to say Torque Joe on Reaper, and Trudel on Pharah.
Offensively, Backlash is going to run Psycho Waffle on Reaper, Sky's going to play Lucio Ender Hero on Reinhardt, Disclaimer on Winston, Mortachi on 76, and Sweaty is going to run a second Lucio. We've seen the double Lucio composition really in full effect, and they're going to use it coming around this corner.
So we're going straight to Bastion cam here. Let's see what Bastion actually does early on. And right now, this is actually a pretty decent Bastion spot. They don't really have an easy way of getting in on him.
They don't really have someone to truly deal with him unless this Reaper can get back here, but they're just going to come in. They're just going to ignore him and go under the arch. They're just going to kind of push from behind.
Yep. Yeah, and the Winston went for him, but wasn't able to do it. And he's getting some great Bastion pressure here as this goes on. Note that 2 people down for both teams suffering some casualties here. So perhaps not necessarily the most contribution from Bastion is not, but take a look at Torque here. Torque on the ground in the trenches as Reaper picks up a kill, and it looks like Code7's got a hold here. I'm not sure really how much was due to the Bastion, but it didn't seem to be hurting them, if nothing else.
I don't know. I think a lot of it was due to their Bastion. It forced them into an awkward position of having to go around. Then they had to throw a monkey into it, and like that died. So not
the Winston part didn't work out. The Winston sort of went behind. Was like, you know what? Maybe I don't want to be behind you. So.
But it changed how they wanted to play the map. They wanted to come around through the main gate and go to the front. Then they saw a Bastion try to go through the house and behind, and it just kind of screwed up their entire plan.
Yeah. I'm gonna note, by the way, Zelnick has already built up sound barrier, so he's gonna be able to use this to help defend as Backlash pushes in here. And there it is, there's a sound barrier, and here comes Torque with the push in with Death Blossom. And here comes Code7 just pushing in on Backlash and looking pretty formidable on defense so far.
They annihilated that push. That was nothing. And even if that failed, they've got Waffletastic has this tank mode up too, and tank mode does so much damage.
Yeah, actually, tank mode is one of the more deadly things in a team fight, especially with how people get grouped up in comp. I'm curious to see how this is going to work out in this next fight. Is he going to stay in turret mode, or is he just going to say screw it and bring down the tank right away?
Torque behind them with his Reaper.
Yep, and he's actually just destroying the Winston shield very quickly. Bastion tears through it. All right, we do see that a Earth Shatter is down. Nice Earth Shatter hits 3 people on the Code7 team, and he didn't go for tank mode, so I'm just kind of disappointed there.
Yeah, but again, even though that Bastion wasn't directly in the fight, they had to spend resources to go deal with him. They had a Genji and a Reinhardt over there, and eventually they cleaned him up, but they died for it too. So the Bastion, if nothing else, is a pain to deal with, and making them devote time and energy and rockets and resources, the rest of the team is kind of left short-handed.
Yep, I'm gonna note though that now we have a lot of ults coming up for Backlash. Maybe this will be the push you need to get in. Tank mode still up, so is Tranquility. We do have the Dragon Blade coming out now from Psycho Waffle. See if Psycho Waffle get anything done. Transcendence comes out to counter that. Reaper comes in with the Death Blossom in the back, and again, Code7 is gonna just wipe out the offensive Backlash.
Yeah, that Transcendence was well-timed. It really kind of negated a lot of the ultimates coming into them. Defensive Transcendence, and then Bastion just goes untouched. They need to figure out an answer to this Bastion, an efficient answer at that.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, really, we have yet to see tank mode come out. I know I'm just sort of harping the Bastion, but that's because we were starved of Bastion yesterday, and now we actually get to see him.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about tank mode is it does a lot of good damage, but the fire rate is so low that he might be better served just running turret.
Yeah, it's a possibility. So right now we're taking a look at Trudel. I'm giving him enough love to Trudel here. Trudel laying down the suppressing fair fire. Does see a Reaper coming for him and is a little bit hesitant about that. And oh man, Hex Barrage has come up.
Yeah, Trudel's gonna get. They're all pushing this side here. They're gonna all try to get up towards that bastion. Trudel comes in, and now here comes the initiation from the tanks.
Yeah, and he drops the barrage and picks up a very quick 2 kills. So well played by Trudel there.
This res is absolutely crucial. They need to keep alive after getting rezzed and see if they can get some work here. They've actually finally got a little bit of position. Yep. Reinhardt goes really deep and finds himself out of position. High Noon is gonna come off.
Yep. Yeah, that was a great res by Backlash. It really let them keep the fight in here after the less than great opening. But Code7 could still very well come back and defend this. They're holding well.
Yeah, they have regrouped now, and that position that they were holding earlier, Backlash is a little bit fleeting.
Yep. And Jojo is coming back to the fight. He does have Earth Shatter, so this might be the cleanup they need, but Code7 starting to bleed players on this point.
Yeah, Ender able to get back in with a charge onto the point, so now they have a tank and some sustain able on the point. Bastion is back up the corner. A great block on that barrage, though.
Yeah, that barrage was not... And here comes the Bastion! The Bastion just killed Reinhardt before. He's got 2 kills. 3 kills for the Bastion. It's not enough to save the point, but man...
Oh, that's so harsh to watch. The Reinhardt charging in, he's all full of bravado, and then just gunned down.
Yeah, that was not necessarily the greatest of Reinhardt. It's like, all right, I'm either gonna hit him or die terribly, and you know, he died terribly. And wait, we have an offensive Bastion now. Look at this.
Yeah, he can put it on the cart. His biggest weakness is his mobility, and which is absolutely negated by the cart. The Reaper's going behind to try to put an end to it, though. They spot him before he gets to the cart, though.
Yeah, the Reaper not quite able to get as much value as he wants. Both teams sort of trading out here. Bastion is going to die in the cart. Not quite as effective as perhaps he would have liked. Taking a look at
the resurrection comes
here.
off, and then a sound barrier, so the offense is actually in a pretty decent position. This Transcendence, while the thought is nice and it's going to save some lives, is not going to be very effective.
Now, Mortachi there was actually able to pick up the double kill in the corridor, really utilizing McCree's sort of dominance in tight situations, take out both Reinhardt and my Overwatch just crashed.
Well, I'm still in. The Mercy right now is just absolutely changing the game. We didn't see her very much yesterday, but now we see 2 resurrections, which changed the tide of the fight very well for Backlash.
Yep. All right, Hex, you're going to have to keep us informed because my Overwatch just crashed randomly. So I am now restarting Overwatch, and I hope you'll let me rejoin. I guess
I'll do my best radio cast. Well,
I think you can invite me, actually.
I'll do my best. Let me know when you're launched.
Looks like I might be loading back in. There is a black screen, but I'm hearing
We've got
sound.
6 on the offensive cart right now. They're all moving very well at this point. The cart does not stop.
Loading OXOOOOOO, but it looks like we're getting back in, I think.
Okay, good. I don't see you on my list. I'll do my best for you. Right now, we've had an offensive push just absolutely get completely murdered. 4 players dead.
Back.
Really good defense.
Is almost ready.
All right, so back to normal. It does look like, as you were just saying, that Code7 has stabilized just a bit.
Yeah, but from the first checkpoint to where we are now, that cart never stopped moving. It's really good fights, and like I said, I really like that they're running the Mercy, and the Mercy Resurrection is back up.
Yeah, taking a look at Farah right now. Farah dropping pressure from the top. There's this tank mode out, though, from Psycho Waffle. Psycho Waffle leading the tank Bastion. They're going to have to Transcendence to just counter this.
Yeah, the Transcendence defensively doesn't do a ton, not the game-changing Transcendence we've seen over the last couple days. This Mercy is still up.
Yeah, but see Waffle Tastic flanking him with the defensive 76. Both teams losing a lot of players there, but in the end, it's basically going to be a wash, and that's a win for the defensive team.
Yeah, they definitely have the advantage when it comes to trading right now. That Mercy got taken out early in the fight. If she was somehow able to stay alive, that would have been a monster resurrection. But the resurrection is still available if they want to go for a very aggressive sacrifice-style play.
Yep. Take a look, Zarya ultimate. I think Disclaimer actually might have just switched to Zarya. So no ultimate's going to be coming out for a while, but take a look at Skye. Skye's going to have Sound Barrier up soon. That's going to be very effective for Backlash pushing in.
Yeah, but they just lost 3 players, most of their fraggers and their tank.
Torque just came in and laid down the law, using his Peacekeeper and fanning the hammer for 2 quick kills. Really well played by Torque.
Yeah, that was really interesting aggression there, too. Once they were cleaned up, they knew they had the advantage and were able to go right outside of the spawn and just start peppering them coming out of spawn.
Yep, and that being said, Skye does still have Sound Barrier. He just wasn't able to use it in time because of the well-placed shots from Torque.
Yeah.
And Trudel just took out Psycho Waffle early on there, so this is already not looking great for Backlash on the push.
No, the defensive sound barrier comes in, a defensive Earth Shatter as well, and look, Blue is just taking names, and they're gonna maybe push back towards their spawn again. It seems to be where they're generating towards.
Yeah, I'm watching Lucio right now just struggle desperately against this Reinhardt. It's not really working out too well, and he's just gonna have to back up with the rest of his team.
Let's get you healed up.
So I think they should be trying to keep their Mercy alive, go for a really, really strong engage without worrying about dying.
We have
and then get a
Trudel setting up for a barrage flank here. Look at this, Hex. Here comes the barrage. I think that was a little bit preemptive. That was, I know chat's gonna get filled with NA alt after that one, but that was not quite what I was looking for, and that might be the opportunity that Backlash needs. A nice concussive blast coming in from Psycho Waffle to really split people up, and Backlash trying to make the most of this.
Yeah, the Transcendence goes down, and these Transcendences have been mediocre at best. They've always been used in a very defensive position where the team is mostly already dead. It's not saving a ton of lives, and right now, Backlash has to try to ride this momentum, finish up some picks, and get this card.
Oh, JoJo bringing down the Earth Shatter, not able to get too much from it, and yeah, we see Backlash able to sort of weather the storm there, and they're still moving forward.
Yeah, the offensive McCree High Noon is going to make them stay in their spawns a little bit longer. The defensive McCree is way behind the cart. It might be a mistake if he doesn't move in here quick enough.
Ender Hero smashing D.Va to the back, dropping the hammer, but is going to die for it. I don't know if that was entirely worth. And actually a huge amount of wiping now going against Backlash. So
I was mentioning that the McCree was behind the lines, and I thought he was a little too far away from the cart, but he set up a High Noon and take out 2 picks on the cart, and that leads to a full wipe, and that is Code7 winning round 1.
Yeah, Code7.
Or
So
good defense on map 1. My bad.
So now, rather than having a normal time to beat, what we have here for the next... This is actually weird, because I think yesterday...
That skin, though.
Oh, that is a great skin. It's not quite as good as Zenyatta, but I still think it's quite good.
Yeah, and this continues the streak of Zenyatta plays of the game we saw so many Zenyatta plays of the games yesterday. Really, really strong hero right now in the meta.
Yeah, absolutely. So, interesting first game. I think Code7 definitely has a pretty good chance of taking this. All they have to do is complete the map, and they'll be good.
Yeah, and I think that Bastion really threw off Backlash. It's not something you generally plan for or play against, even though Bastion got reworks and I think is a little stronger overall. We saw him yesterday get tried out and then eliminated very quickly, but he made them change how they wanted to play, and sometimes that's enough of a strategy to help your team win the game.
Yeah. So yeah, we saw definitely a good deal of variety here, just relative to the EU games we saw yesterday. It seems like the NA teams right now are a little bit more willing to try different things like the Bastion out. I also want to forget to see some Torbjorn today.
It's possible. You've got him queued up on defense.
Yeah, I was going to say, just as I say that, take a look at the Backlash defense here.
I think they saw the Bastion and said, well, we can build a robot too.
We can build a robot. It's like, but our turret actually just works on its own. We don't even have to aim it.
Yeah, no, aimbots are totally legal when you're playing Torbjorn. So defensively, it looks like the entire roster of Backlash is probably going to be set. Sweaty's going to play Zenyatta, Psycho Waffle on that Torbjorn, Mortachi on Reaper, Sky on Lucio, Disclaimer on Zarya, Ender Hero on Reinhardt.
So, taking a look now at the offense, if this is final, looks like we're going to see Code7 coming in with JoJo on Winston, Trudel on Pharah, Waffle-tastic on Lucio, Torque on another Winston, Zelnick on Lucio. So we saw actually this double Lucio, double Winston stuff come in quite a bit in the past beta phase. We didn't see it too much yesterday, but we did see the double Lucio, but not the double Winston to go along with it.
But it is almost specific to this map as well. This first point offense, double Lucio, double Winston, is the time you're going to see it. And it's mostly because of how the point is set up. You can get both Winstons. You can have shield almost the whole point. Then double Lucio, you're getting that speed burst and the healing. It ends up being pretty insane. And then I like the actual the auxiliary damage too. You've got Trudel there, and you've got Zarya to give her the shield as well. So they do have some damage dealers if Zarya gets her beam going.
Yep. And interestingly on Torbjorn, even though a lot of his power comes from the turret, Torbjorn's actual auto attacks can be very, very effective as well.
Yeah, and then his ultimate Molten Core, he just starts slamming those autos. But see, this is huge aggressive.
This is so aggressive. And they're just getting right on top of the point. Combination double Lucio, double Winston, and we'll see if that actually works. The Reapers are doing a good job of cleaning this out.
Yeah, that did not go very well for them. They lost players early on, and now just one Winston, one Lucio remain, and that's never going to be enough to push this point. A really good cleanup there. I think a lot of teams rely on the shock and awe of this kind of composition, being there so fast and right in their face, but since teams have seen this composition, it doesn't work quite as well as it used to.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that, where in the past, people weren't really sure of how to deal with it, but people are way more comfortable dealing with these big, aggressive Russians, and taking a look at Mordechai here as he's sort of sitting in the back and waiting the flank in his Reaper was very effective on the last push. See if he can do it again. And you have to just respect that Reaper as he comes in from the back.
Yeah, much more standard push coming in here from Code7. They got the Reinhardt in forward, then they ult with one of the Lucios, and now it's just turning into an absolute skirmish down there.
Yep, Death Blossom is up and is going to be used immediately from Mortachi, and, well, used to good effect. Also, Torbjorn picked up about 2 or 3 kills there as well, so the defense now of Backlash holding strong.
Yeah, really strong defense. They're repositioning the turret here too, and I like this. It's right behind where the health pack is. There's nothing worse in games than trying to go for a health pack and getting killed by a turret. It just feels so demoralizing.
Yep. One thing that hasn't changed between the beta phases is that you do see Reinhardt v Reinhardt very, very often. It's sort of standard for each team to bring Reinhardt, so even though you get variations on support now, you get variations on DPS certainly, Reinhardt is just sort of the man of the moment.
Reinhardt and Lucio have been on pretty much every team ever.
Yep.
Really?
You see Earthshatter going down. Only it's Waffle though, some good shielding otherwise, and JoJo just gets crunched by Ender across the wall, and this is, again, interesting push, but...
Yeah, a really nice barrage went down there too, and the barrage, it was in the face of a turret, which is not necessarily where you want to be, but it had the Mercy with it, so there was no danger of getting cut short by getting killed by the turret, and that ends up in a full team wipe.
Yeah, and those are those things where at first it wasn't looking quite as good for Code7 as they came in, but really Trudel was able to carry that, go to the back, drop the barrage, and went from there.
So now this looks like King's Row. We've got Mercies and Pharahs everywhere, and they're going to fight through this alley.
And also, when it comes to pushing through this corridor, Zelnik has res up, so they can lose a few people. Zelnik can drop the res, and they can just continually move forward.
Yeah, that resurrection is going to be crucial as well coming in. Mortachi was going for a little work behind the back lines, but I think, again, as people get more comfortable with this map, they know that that's exactly what Reaper's going to be trying to do. Ender's hero finds himself way out of position, not able to fall back in time, and they lost their tank there.
Yeah, and actually see Code7 now just very, very comfortable with moving forward. You see Trudel laying down rockets way in advance, and this is working out well for Code7.
Yeah, the offensive combo is kind of going for a flank. Trudel's laying down some pressure on the back lines. They have to decide if they want to go back and deal with Trudel there, or if they want to keep focusing on the cart pressure.
Yeah, and if you look at Trudel, Trudel's coming in for another barrage. He's setting up right now. He is going to barrage, is going to take out the Zarya, looks for a little bit more, gets mid-aired by Psycho Waffle, so 1 for 1 there. Not the greatest, but at least it's a trade while they're still moving forward.
Yeah, he was looking for the Mercy. The Mercy was able to get away. A counter barrage by Psycho Waffle does get, I think, 1 or 2 kills.
Yep. Right now, though, both teams still reasonably healthy on here, and it's going to favor the attacking side. Code7 is making quite a bit of progress.
Yeah, Backlash has to find a way to hold this point, because of course if they get to the end of the map, that is map 1 for Code7, but they have the tools in their arsenal to do it. They've got a lot of ultimates up, they have their positioning, they're not pushed too far back, they can still hold this high ground too.
And Torque's been doing a really good job of sort of suppressing Mortachi's Reaper. I just saw here he went behind them through the flashbang, fanned the hammer, and that was that. So, Code7 on a bit of a power play. Nice flashbang over the top of the Reinhardt shield. Gets him killed. That was some great coordination. The high noon comes out. What a great series of plays by Torque Joe there. Resurrect does go out.
There's a huge Earthshatter on the cart there. It's going to be a defensive Graviton Surge, which is not going to have much follow, but the Resurrection comes off and it spawns heroes behind the Graviton Surge.
Yep, and you see here Code7 doing really, really well on the aggressive push. They were able to use the res in their favor, and they're pushed all the way up and putting themselves in great position to win this right now, Hex.
Yeah, when that Earthshatter came down, I thought they were absolutely borked, but the Resurrection came off and really just brought everyone back to the spot they needed to be. This ultimate is good, it brings everyone in position, but no one's going to be able to follow up and kill anyone.
Their follow-up was just a little bit delayed. Psycho Waffle wasn't ready to drop the barrage immediately after that Graviton Surge, and that just... second of timing off and coordination was really a big, big difference there.
Yeah, we saw it yesterday too. It's just some of the synergy ultimates, it's a matter of seconds between if they're really working well or they're really not.
A nice res coming up, bringing up all of Code7 on the Backlash thing, and Ender Hero smashing McCree against the wall. Risky, he could have gone to himself, and JoJo just fell off. Oh no! That's not what JoJo wanted.
Yeah, the defense looks like it might even hold this point off. The Diva the last second buying them a little bit of time, and you really love it when people fall off this map, don't you?
It happens in every game. There's all these, I'm not sure if he was pushed or not. It's possible he was, but if he wasn't, we've just seen a lot of unforced errors on this map in general.
Gravity, man, it's OP.
Yep, so Code7 now regrouping, and Backlash desperately trying to hold on. They have to hold on for 4 minutes here because regardless of what the time is, so long as Code7 can finish out the map, they will take map 1.
Yep, and if they don't, I think we're going to have to go to timers. I'm not sure. I always leave all those difficult calls up to administration. So let's just see how the game goes.
So Trudel right now very content to sit back and spam behind the Reinhardt shield. And Code7 just sort of taking their time on this push. They don't want to rush it. They want to make sure they're taking this engagement in the most favorable way possible as they go forward.
Yeah.
Ultimate-wise, though, there's a lot of defensive ultimates up here for Backlash.
Well, 5 offensive ultimates up as well, so we're going to see some fireworks here in a moment. The first ultimate comes off, it's the Graviton Surge. Both barrages come down.
He was able to take out the Mercy in the back, wasn't able to get much more than that, but that might be all that's needed because there's not going to be any res coming up now for Backlash.
No, that Mercy's a high priority target. It's one of the pains of playing meta because everyone's trying to kill you. That's a lot of kills. There's only going to be a few alive on the point, and it can Mercy fly there on time. And the res!
Oh, there's the... But here's the Deadeye after that. Is it going to happen? Yes! Torjo with the on-point Deadeye completely nullifies the res, and this could be game for Code7, and it is.
That was just 2 phenomenal plays back-to-back. I thought it was over. The Mercy was able to get out of spawn, fly towards her heroes, res them to save the game for him, but like you said, the follow-up was she res them right into a high noon.
And I think the play of the game is actually a high noon that we just saw on stream. Because the res was out, it was a good res, but Deadeye was just there and on point, and wow, what a play coming out from Torque.
Yeah, great plays on both sides there. I was really ready to give Mercy her props and then just got shot in the head by a cowboy, as is wont to happen.
Yep. And everyone's upvoting Torque. Well, I guess it's just all his team. No one. It's only 6 votes. Come on, guys, a little bit.
Do you salty vote? I salty vote sometimes, where I don't cast a ballot if I
honestly, when streaming and whatnot, I just have issues where I just forget to vote because I'm tending to other things. I'm just a typical absentee voter, man.
Gotta participate in the democratic process.
Anyways, so yeah, interesting first game coming out. Backlash, the more veteran team, actually dropping a map now, the Code7. Code7 looked pretty good there, Hex.
Well, what I was mentioning earlier, too, is I think it is a merging of 2 teams, so maybe their timings are a little bit off, and those timings being off by a second is the difference between an aerial barrage killing 6 people and killing 2 or 0. And we saw some of that, the coordination wasn't entirely there.
No, that definitely could have been a bit of a factor in that. That being said, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back with you guys for map number 2 of Backlash versus Code7. Code7 now up 1-0. are back with the GosuGamers Overwatch Weekly NA Cup number 3, and Hex, we're already back to the draft.
Yep, back to the future, back in the draft, and we didn't miss too much of it. Temple of Anubis banned out by Code7, Backlash banning out Numbani.
Yep. So, Code7 not wanting to deal with those capture point maps again, and we sort of, well, not entirely the same strategy from Backlash. They took out a payload map, but then they took out Hanamura, so maybe they're treating this a little bit differently with the drafting ban order being slightly different.
The only thing that would really surprise me is if Backlash purposely tried to get back on King's Row. Did not go very well for them.
Yeah, definitely not, because Code7 was able to take that, and Backlash sort of went out of their way to get on King's Row, so they might be angling for something a little bit different this time around.
I mean, it wasn't actually like a stomping one side or the other, but it was pretty decisive. They definitely, you know, lost. It wasn't super close, I'll say that much. Volsky getting banned out by Code7 as well. So that's, I think all of our capture point maps are already banned. Backlash follows it up by banning Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, Lijiang Tower does go down. So Nepal is still available for a potential King of the Hill pick, but I'd be, with it this many maps remaining to be banned, I'd be surprised if we did actually end up on King of the Hill. It's looking like we're going to be heading to payload yet again. So, waiting right now on the next Backlash ban, Dorado, Hollywood, Kings Row, and Nepal, still on the table.
Yeah, and I guess it's not out of the realm of possibility that they would go back to Kings. It's a map that we've seen teams lose and then go back to it just because they feel very comfortable on it. Maybe they identified their mistakes, and maybe it was one or two things that they think they can easily fix, and it just is their home map.
Yep. So,
Dorado gone.
Dorado gone. Hex is weeping over that.
I like Dorado. It's
you do. I mean, I think you like Dorado a little bit more than just like.
Yeah, I like Dorado. We're not in love yet, but I like it.
So you're in the in between. It's like I don't love Dorado, but I like Dorado.
Yeah, I like.
We might be going back to Kings Row here.
Yeah, it's either Kings Row or Nepal. These are the two that came down. Well, one of the 2 out of the 3 last bans last game.
So will Backlash say, you know what, we can bring it right back on Kings Row and risk being knocked out of the tournament with 2 consecutive Kings Row defeats? Or will they bring it to Nepal?
Nepal will be interesting because both
They're bringing it to Nepal.
We're going to Nepal. Both these teams were running a Pharah too, and like we said, Pharah is kind of out of the meta as far as Kings Row went, of course, but I think Pharah on control point maps is a phenomenal pick. And if you have a skilled Pharah, you're going to be winning a lot of rounds.
Yep. And real quick for those who are just tuning in, some of the highlights from the last game on the GosuGamers replay, let's take a look at those. First of all, we got to see some Bastion play finally. And even though this highlight is right after they lost the point, just look at what Bastion can do and what happens to Reinhardt afterwards. Actually, first play of the game, this is Pharah. We saw lots of Pharah being played, just generally solid Pharah play coming out on both sides. And as you can see, Barrage is so effective when you can just get above people and drop it down. Now here's the Bastion play. Reinhardt goes down, but look at Waffle-tastic in the back, laying down fire on Bastion, not being accounted for whatsoever. And then finally, Ender Hero's like, I gotta do something about this. Gets taken out. Zarya tries to do something, gets taken out. And Waffle-tastic picking up 3 kills in the process. So really good stuff coming out from him. And then finally, let's take a look at this use of Deadeye, completely nullifying the Mercy Res. Torque on point, just really solid play coming out there. Awesome stuff in general.
Yeah, McCree really has. It was interesting that he was running his Deadeye before the Resurrection even came off, I think. It was a preemptive, like, I don't think they're even going to get to this card, I might as well hit Q. And then the Resurrection came up and made him look brilliant. It'd be interesting to really slow that down and look at the timings on that if he was doing it before the Resurrection animation even began.
Yep. Okay, so we do have one issue here from the players. Apparently they need to redo bans. I guess one side closed out and it wasn't really what they were trying to ban. So we might not actually be going to Nepal.
Oh, that's tragic.
I mean, we did see a lot in Nepal yesterday, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing more of it today. Like, enough time has passed.
We saw a couple on Nepal. The first few matches. So if you want to see competitive play, check out the VODs of GosuGamers number 3 on EU. It's the first 2 matches, I think, were on Nepal, and then we didn't see it the rest of the day.
Yep, so telling the teams that we are ready, we do have the new draft up. So we'll see if there's any real change in drafting strategy, or if we end up on Nepal again anyways. One can hope, right?
Yeah, I mean, anything that's just not going back to King's Row would be preferential to me. Actually, no, I'll watch anything. I don't have high standards in anything in life, so.
No high standard. I mean, that's one way of not being disappointed.
Yeah. Set the bar so low, you always win.
Yep, so Code7 taking out Temple of Anubis again. That part does not change between the two drafts.
Poor Temple of Anubis. Have we ever seen, you and I, Temple of Anubis in a competitive setting?
No, and there's a very good reason for that. I mean, I'm not, again, it's one of those things where maybe we want to see it for the Schadenfreude of it, but I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing if Temple of Anubis is just kept locked away. It's probably many people's least favorite map in the game. Apparently, it's the earliest made map in the game, like the very first Overwatch map. So I imagine the Overwatch developers have some degree of nostalgia for the map because, hey, this is what we were first playing on, but it definitely feels a little bit dated relative to the gameplay that you see on the other maps in the game.
Yeah, you know how you could fix that is open up the left side where it's just straight walled off by that room with the pack. You know how the right side's got the kind of alley? If you open up that left side and just took away that wall, I think it might help a lot. But that's just my amateur design philosophy.
So Code7 saying no matter what, they do not want to go to capture points. They are taking every last capture point map out.
Yeah, so Anubis gone, Hanamura gone, Volskaya gone. They've decided that that's not what they want. And we're not going back to King's Row because Gibraltar's gone, King's Row gone, Nubani gone. Both King of the Hills and Dorado left. This is looking brilliant. What a great map pool we have left.
Yep.
So we're definitely going to King of the Hill, and it's just a matter of Nepal.
Lijiang Tower. So I'm cool with that. Did we even see Lijiang Tower yesterday? I think maybe once.
No, I know.
No, not even?
I don't think so. I think there are some glitches on this map that hopefully no one tries to exploit. That you can find. You can hide underneath stairs and shoot between stuff. There's a few things that need to be patched out, but I doubt our teams are going to be doing that. I'm looking forward to seeing Lijiang Tower. I love the new game mode, and I think we might end up seeing a Torbjorn on this one too because he's really strong on this game mode.
Yeah, I think you could see a Torbjorn. I think you could see Bastion. I even think Widowmaker can work at times if you're the one that controls the point. I haven't seen teams really go for that just yet.
Yeah, it's difficult to run snipers on King of the Hill maps, but there's one or two stages of each King of the Hill map that a sniper is viable on. But in pubs, picking a sniper on your King of the Hill team is going to make a lot of people mad at you.
Yeah, picking snipers in general will make it rough. Also, one hero that we have yet to see in either EU or NA, really going all the way back to last patch, Hanzo is still missing in action. Now, I think back to our interview from Internet Hulk yesterday. We asked him about Hanzo. He's just like, what? Does that hero even exist? So competitive players do not have a very high opinion of Hanzo for competitive games.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned yesterday, I think it's just that every role and hero is very specialized in what they do. And so if you're having a Hanzo, he's good at a lot of different things. He's just mid-range. He's like the Mario of Overwatch. He can do everything, but he doesn't, there's characters who do things better than him in their respective area. You know, a 76 for sustained damage, a Widowmaker for sniping, for instance. So he's not as good as either of them at what they do.
Yeah, that does make sense. And also, I think just how people play in comp where you have these tight formations of shielded people running in with Lucio, there's just not enough opportunity to really hit people with Hanzo arrows like there is in a pub where people run in, one by one all the time.
Yeah, and Hanzo's a great dueler, and he capitalizes on people's mistakes and people just walking through doorways, just hit him with that arrow spam. But in competitive, you don't see people straying away from their team or overextending or making the mistakes that he can really capitalize on. So maybe one day we'll see a Hanzo.
Very, very, it is a possibility.
Now, on this King of the Hill map, I think we're definitely going to see Lucios on each side because you really want that speed burst out of the gates. The rollout here, the only real rollout option is speed burst Lucio your entire team to the point. Because once that point is taken, it becomes so hard to take it back.
Yeah, it definitely does have issues. Because here's the problem is that even if you're contesting it, the time still goes up. You do get a little bit of grace time for overtime, but that's about it.
Yeah, once that team takes it, that is their point, and the clock is going down forever. Even when you're on it trying to get it back, it is still theirs until you absolutely take it back. So,
yep. So, as we see, both teams prepping here. No big surprise in terms of team compositions that are running out. We see Code7 coming out with Jojo on Reinhardt, Awful-tastic on Lucio, Bread Expert on Zarya, Trudel once again repping the Pharah, Zelnick on Mercy, and Torek on the Reaper.
Oh, sorry. And on our red team, we've got Sky and Lucio. A Psycho Waffle is going to be Pharah, Disclaimer on Winston, Ender Hero on Reinhardt, Mortachi on Reaper, and another Lucio in Sweaty or Sweetie.
We see JoJo overextending a little bit, getting taken out by Psycho Waffle, and Psycho Waffle really laying down the pain, taking out 2 people of Code7 in short order. Trudeau, though, striking some blood on Disclaimer. Both teams just brawling it out over the first point.
Yeah, 2 down on both sides, but it looks like Backlash in a better position to capitalize on it and take this point. They took it very quickly. The thing about Lucio and why he's so good on King of the Hill maps is not only the rollout, it's just because he's got such great sustain. You can be contesting the point and keeping them from capping it by yourself for 10 minutes, just skating up and down walls and regenerating health.
Yeah, that is something that you see very, very often. Really, I think you're right when you say that. We do see more variation with whether or not Mercy is picked, but everyone has been running Lucio. Everyone just loves the beats.
The utility is too good, and his overall just kind of passing healing ability is too strong.
Yeah. Taking a look at this here, we do see Code7 trying to break into the defensive embankment of Backlash here, but Backlash is pretty well settled. Psycho Waffle dropping the aerial barrage and getting pretty good value off it as well. So
yeah, it was a really aggressive barrage by Trudel there that really started that off, and I didn't think he was going to go for it immediately. He did, got a bunch of picks, and the Psycho Waffle barrage, I mean, while it was okay, it didn't do the same thing.
The Psycho Waffle barrage came in a little bit late. I think only picked off 1, and really what sort of led that fight was Waffle-tastic's sound barrier. You saw everyone was shielded, and really not a whole lot that Backlash could do.
Reinhardt's butt heads, but the ultimate does come down on the one Reinhardt. The Death Blossom comes off, though.
Oh no! The Death Blossom comes up and he gets knocked off by Sky. Sky fighting a counter Death Blossom, and just, if you're knocked off the map, it's hard to deal death.
Yeah, Graviton Surge does come in. Lucio's on this point alone, just trying to be an annoyance, a bothersome. He gets taken out too. I thought it was an interesting position that Backlash chose to try to aggress onto the point up these stairs towards the edge. You're putting yourself in danger of getting knocked off by a Pharah Rocket or a Pharah Energy Surge.
Yep, right now we do see Code7 still holding strong on top of the point. And here comes Backlash again to try and switch the momentum of the game. JoJo with a nice Earthshatter knocks down both McCree and Reinhardt, is able to take out the enemy Reinhardt. And right now you're seeing both teams brawl it out, but more people going down for Backlash than going down on Code7.
That fight was over as soon as that Earthshatter hit. That Earthshatter was phenomenal. It knocked down 3 of them. They were all cleaned up shortly after, and then the rest of the team had nothing to do but, like, I guess I'll try to fight now, but there was no chance.
Yep. Neither Zarya particularly close to getting Graviton Surge here, but Trudel holding on to the barrage, and he's just going to be looking for the aerial flank, and oh, Hex, here it comes. Justice raining from above. He only takes out Reinhardt, though, so not quite as devastating as it could have been. We see the sound barrier coming down for Backlash, and Backlash really has to make something happen now because they're running out of time.
Yeah, they took the point early, and that was grand, but then they've just lost every fight since then. They're going to have to sell out for it.
And right now we see Psycho Waffle trying to take the Mercy out in the back, not having the biggest amount of success, and they just have to keep overtime going here if they want to win. And yes, they are going to cap it, so Backlash staying alive.
Yeah, off the tail of about 4 kills there. Both supports being dead actually really helps out that cap, and now they have to hold it forever to win this side of the round.
Yeah, they're going to have to hold it pretty much the entire time because all Code7 has to do is get control of the point uncontested for literally 1 second, and they'll win the game because they are locked at 99% right now.
Yep, they just have to cap it, and here comes the big push. Everyone up.
Everyone is up, but Graviton Surge is up for both teams. They might just end up canceling out. Sound barrier is out for Backlash. Backlash going to try and weather the storm. They do lose Lucio pretty quickly. Here comes the Dragon Blade from Psycho Waffle. Psycho Waffle slicing out the Zarya. Might be getting the Reinhardt as well. Will he be able to get it? Yes, he gets Reinhardt. So Psycho Waffle doing a bit of work. Will he be able to get the Reaper? No. Torquejo's able to take him down. And the aftermath of all that is that this is going to be a cap and a win of stage 1 or Code7. But hang on, it might be preemptive. Lucio got in there in time. I didn't think he would get in there in time.
Oh, those rollerblades, man.
They do have control of the point, though, so we're in overtime, and now Backlash has to be in the entire time. If they're not on it at all, overtime will end, and they will lose the stage.
Yeah, Sound Barrier came off, giving everyone big shields on Code7, so Backlash is really going to have to get in here. They can't let that timer go down.
Yeah, the one problem is that they are sort of chaining deaths. Ender Hero smashing Waffle against the wall there.
Yeah,
but if they don't get anyone here soon, it's going to be map 1 to Code7.
Oh, Zarya just a second too late. Yeah, the problem with that Ender Hero charge was it was decent, but he didn't end up hitting a wall, so he just kind of perused right through the point.
Yep, so as you see there, Backlash, or Code7 going to take stage 1. And one thing I want to apologize for, the King of the Hill mode switches the overlay based on who you're observing, so that part is going to be a little bit confusing. That's just sort of one of the bugs that has to get worked out in the spectator mode. So I understand it's a little bit confusing for those watching, but it is out of our hands.
So no call on teams red or blue. My kill feed also doesn't have red or blue on it, it's just all red.
Yeah, the kill feed is all red when you're in global. You do see a red or blue in first person, but it can get a teeny bit confusing. So we see here both teams setting up, looking like Backlash is going to get onto the point first, and that's a really good position to have, if they can hold it.
Yeah, Ender Hero's kind of out here alone, a little bit too far forward. He's
Oh
gonna get
no, he
charged
gets
out for
crunched by JoJo. Nice charge by JoJo, and you're going to see Code7 now take advantage of this power play, try and wipe out Backlash and take control of the first point.
Yeah, the McCree's down too, and now we're just following it up with another kill on Zarya. That is 3 dead, 4 dead in quick order. Code7 dominating that early fight.
Yeah, that worked really, really well for Code7. And really, it was just off the charge of JoJo. JoJo was able to charge Ender Hero, ruin his day. And you see this very often in Overwatch Comp, where once you get one pick, the team that got the pick will be very, very aggressive because they know they have a 6v5.
Yeah, it can kind of just snowball. I felt he was a little bit out of position there, a little too far ahead. Now, maybe he wasn't out of position, maybe it was the rest of his team, but that's what it looked like.
Yep, take a look at Lucio. Oh, both Reinhardts charging each other. The bumping of the heads, they both go down. And here comes Lucio. Sound barrier is out. And Code7 just going to do their best to hold on to this here and keep their position. Oh, Psycho Waffle almost getting knocked off the edge by the Lucio Sound Blast, and that was a great counter to Dragon Blade coming out from Waffle-tastic.
Yeah, and Bread Expert on Zarya just ghost busted down that Mercy. She did her best to try to stay alive, but once that beam starts getting going, there's really nothing you can do to escape it, and this is a dominant position from Code7. They've looked really good so far.
They look, not only did they look really good so far, but they're 50% away from winning Map 2 in its entirety, and going on to the round of 8 to face off against Mix-Up.
So we're going to see a new angle of aggress here, as going to the left didn't work out very well for Backlash twice. Now they're all grouped up. They're going for the Reinhardt, but being grouped up.
Reinhardt charge. JoJo was taken out. He's a little bit over-aggressive there, but Trudel with the big aerial barrage taking out 3 people, and here comes Torque Joe with the extra cleanup. So Torque Joe and Trudel acting as the Bash brothers, taking out the entirety of Backlash as they tried to push in.
Yeah, then you had Zarya throw down an ult at the end for disclaimer. Look, Code7 had all their ultimates up, so trying to go through this bridge was going to end up brutally, and it did. What I don't like there is disclaimer using the Graviton Surge at the end. It was the only one alive. You're not going to kill anyone, and now you don't have it for what you really need for a desperation push.
Yeah, no, they're definitely just lacking a bit here, and they have to do something. They have to be desperate. JoJo with the nice charge. What a Graviton Surge coming out. JoJo dropping the hammer, and oh my god, that is a full team wipe, and Code7 going to move on here. Unless crazy overtime shenanigans happen. Code7 going to move on and take on Mix-Up, otherwise known in the Twitch chat as Seagull's team.
Yeah, flocked by a Seagull's team. That was dominant. There's no other way to say it. They started off early with a good pick on Ender Hero that section, and that was it. We're going to see just a sick barrage, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think this is where Torque and Trudel just wiped out everyone. I don't think this is at the very end. So you see the barrage coming down, and let's see if they catch it. But here comes Reaper off, countering the Mercy Res too. Just great play from both of them. Some just sick combination of ults coming out from Code7 towards the end of that game.
And where we saw their combinations of ults really hitting together and hitting that synergy is what we saw lacking from Backlash in both maps, really. They were just a little bit off here and there, maybe a couple weeks of practice gets those kinks ironed out, but the synergy that Code7 was able to display is exactly what you want to see when using your ultimates in Overwatch.
Absolutely. So, we are going to move on to the round of 8. It is going to be Code7 versus Mix-Up.
Really looking forward to seeing more TF2 guys. I mean, they were a pleasure to watch last season and not Enigma. We've got a lot of them back as well. I always have a special place in my heart for Team Fortress 2 teams. It's my game of choice of mine. Be interesting to see kind of the new players they have in there. Like I said, they're not lacking for mechanical skill, but Code7 just put everyone on notice that they've got their timings, they've got their coordination down, and they're a team to be reckoned with.
Yep. That being said, we are going to take a short break. This is the GosuGamers Overwatch Weekly North American Cup number 3, brought to you by Rocket. I'm ZP, joined by Hex, and stay tuned. You won't want to miss the next game.